G'day, Chris Walker's my name. It's long been my ambition to help people put more heart and soul into their work. To do that, I've created what I call the 6-step foundation stones of a great day. It's really hard to put your heart and soul into what you do if your day is in turmoil, or if you feel that your head is so full that you can't even hear other people think. So to enable that, I created this 6-step program. I'd like to tell you a little bit about it right now, so maybe it helps you to have a clear mind and an open heart during your working day. The first question you might ask yourself is, where do you spend your normal business day? Is your heart full of memories? In other words, do you have fears that things might happen, things have happened? Do you have a whole realm of stories and concerns and worries that might be, let's say, disrupting your ability to think clearly during the day? Do you have a body full of sludge? In other words, have you done some exercise and cleared out both your biology and your physiology? Are you stuck in a physical swamp? In other words, are you wearing the same clothes, going to the same places, caught in the same loop, as it were, every single day? Or are you reconnecting with nature and getting out and remembering the beauty and the alignment of you with your true nature? That's very important for peace of mind. Are you running around catching mosquitoes? In other words, are you on priority? Are you doing the things that will help you make your goals manifest, or are you doing the things that will help put out fires and therefore do what you think might be priority, but actually it's somebody else's priority, not your own? This leads to a massive amount of regret in the world, and the pain of regret always outweighs the pain of discipline and sticking to your priorities. And fifth but not last, and not least, are you serving the wrong master? I've taken almost 2,000 people on Vision Quest, and I think it's the most astonishing thing to find how hard it is for people to break free of the expectations of others, their guilt and their associated expectations from themselves in regard to their work, their personal life and their home life. And really, it's really difficult for us all if we serve too many masters. We need to compromise, and we need to adapt, and we need to engage and welcome other people into our realm. But if we're living inauthentically, trying to live somebody else's vision and satisfy somebody else's values, we're really not going to have a good day. One of the greatest dangers you have in human development and coaching is what's called the low-hanging fruit, cherry picking. Donald is eating every second fruit, but he can only reach the lowest of fruit on the tree. I think this is one of the greatest dangers that we have, that if I teach a group or an individual 6 steps to a great day, the individual will take the 2 that they feel they need and leave 4 behind, thinking that the 2 that they've chosen are the most influential. But human development, as I'm about to show you, is a holistic game. And if you're going to play it, you better to play it really well. So beware of cherry picking. We're going to go through this model a little bit later in this presentation. Just because we're more evolved doesn't make us better. A person who comes to work in a state of got to, or should, or need to, or want to, is still in a primal state. They're still in an agitated, polarized state. We think that we think, but most of the time we don't really think. We just think what other people have told us to think. We're afraid to think. We think this is right and this is wrong, but where do we get the information from? With jaundiced press, with polarized friends, with angry individuals who are carrying baggage in their heart from the past. It's really hard for us to both respect the need for other people to think in polarity, but not to do that ourselves. If we want to really turn up at work, We need to turn up in the headspace of desire, choose and love to do this work. Any state below that is primal and will cause polarity and will waste energy and block our mind. So how does it look? We know that there are 7 areas of life. We know that a human being is holistic. And if one area of life is negative or down or struggling, the others are affected. And so when we talk about building out a vision or building out a balanced life, we're talking about balancing each area of life, not compensating by balancing work against life, mind against body, career against health. We're talking about balancing each of the 7 areas of life. We also know that there are 7 levels of thinking. So there's 7 areas of life, but 7 levels of thinking, 7 levels of the brain, from all the way from the spinal cord, which is primal, fight, flight, got to, all the way up to love to. So the question is often, how do we choose which level of the mind we're going to use in our workplace? Those who choose got to, should, need to, and want to are living in a primal state and can't be promoted to any higher position than they're currently in. For every individual that does coaching, we do what's called the VIP diagram, the VIP test. And simply on this diagram, we create the 7 areas of life, and we ask that individual to score themselves from 0 in the middle, which is downright depressed, to 10 out of 10 on the outside, which is absolutely impeccably perfect. And with that diagram, we get some sort of an idea of the surface area or the volume. We join the dots and we create the volume. And this area is really important. Most people, if you can look at the shadow of the diagram on the page, most people, when they go to change, if they've got a health problem, for example, put more effort on health and less on study, or put more effort on, if they've got a problem in social, put more effort in their social life and pull back a little bit in career. In other words, in solving one problem, they create another. And that's life for them, going through solving problems, creating others, creating problems, solving problems. And their score, their VIP score, their total score of the numbers they scored themselves never changes. And that is really disappointing. So we go to this diagram and we say we're going to move everyone we coach, move them all the way from got to want to, at least to desire to. And my motto is coach them up or coach them out. In other words, under certain circumstances, it's really hard for a person to get to a love to state, to get to a state using the corpus callosum or the cerebral cortex and the highest levels of the brain, because they're in such trauma inside an organization. But that individual may move to a job with less stress, a different culture, and be way higher in their utilization of their mind state. So coach them up or coach them out is our motto in corporate life. Coaching a person up means they have to be able to adjust their mind state to work in higher states of mind rather than the more primal ones. We also know that when a person reaches a love to state in any of or all of the 7 areas of life, they will give birth to a new expectation. In other words, we're never satisfied. Satisfaction is a temporary moment. Inspiration is a temporary moment. Inspiration is a place we get to just to birth incompetence. And so the process I teach, or the processes I teach, are for moving from got to love to, and then love to into got to, and love to got to, got to love to. By moving through these phases, we create a realistic expectation of what it looks like to be in a great business life. We want to have a global view of our life, a global perspective on things. We want to have big picture thinking. And I encourage all of my clients to have a world view. Not a world view of how bad things are in the Amazon, or how great things are in Bali, or how bad things are in certain parts of the world, but a balanced view, a moon view, a view of the world from which they can see that the world is in perfect balance and there are a bunch of people running around causing that to be so. So we create a 360-degree, 7 areas of life, vision statement, balance statement, and goal statement. So how do we do this? Well, most people consider balance to be the weighted load of one topic or one belief system against another. But this is not how it works. Going back to the old diagram that you saw earlier of the 7 levels of life, what we know is in the cellular brain at the GOTU, at the bottom of the mountain, it really doesn't matter how you think. It's a polarized thought process. It's I'm right, you're wrong, the government's bad and they've never done anything good, all or never, always and never, all got to and have to, and it's a very polarized, aggressive, quite violent fundamentalist position. And many people dressed in nice suits and wearing high heel shoes and very nice clean leather shoes and shirts with ties and jackets and blazers go to work really with no higher consciousness than a primate. They're saying got to and should the whole day. And that is an anger producing and a depression producing state of mind. So in coaching a person up, what we're trying to do is help an individual see balance in anything they view. And we have the tools and skills to help you see a balance and therefore maintain peace of mind, maintain a lack of clutter in your brain, maintain open ears, and therefore, with all that, a wide open heart. Let's look further. We've said already that there are 7 areas of life and we want to create a holistic view. And we've chosen to not work in a got to, should, need to, want to state of mind. We're aiming to get to a desire, choose and love to state of mind. How do we do it? Let's have a look at the non-cherry picking format of the Power Hour. The Power Hour has 6 different things that you can do every single day to keep your heart open in hell. And I'd like to go through those quickly now. A clear mind. A clear mind is a balanced mind. An unbalanced mind is an emotional mind. What you can see balance in, you have mastery over. What you can't see balance in is running you. We teach you the skills to be absolutely clear-minded, to be absolutely clear-headed. In other words, to be able to hear and listen to what other people say, to have clarity in what you think and not be overwhelmed with too many things rattling around in your brain. Sometimes this means a bit of clearing of the past. The second thing is that we engage what's called the human personal magnetism. And this is not only magnetic in terms of your metabolism, but it's magnetic in the form of the energy that flows through you. And we spend a significant amount of time helping you save energy so that you don't unnecessarily waste it with lost energy through emotion, jitters, and many other ways that a person drains themselves of energy they could otherwise use productively. The third point is biophilia. Your environment determines your life. We are the environment we create. Environment has been the most underestimated element of human development since the beginning of time. If I take children in indigenous communities that are in violent homes and coach them into their vision and their purpose and help them have a clear mind, but they revert back to that home that is violent and troublesome, then it is very hard for that individual to perceive anything different than what they're living in. It is the same with someone who is in an antagonistic relationship at home, coming to work, hoping like hell that work will be peaceful to offset the turbulence at home. Biophilia is environmental. It's not just about nature. It's about what you wear, where you spend your time, how you respect the environment around you, and how you can recognize that the mood that you're in will generate an environment for others, and so therefore you can be a non-polluter. The next thing that I think is really important on a daily basis to be aware of your values. This is the true definition of know yourself. When somebody says, it's really important to know yourself. What they're saying is, do you know your intrinsic values? Each human being on earth is born with intrinsic values, and they are thumbprint specific. If we don't know our values, we don't know ourselves. If we don't know our values, we're like a leaf blowing in the wind, satisfying everybody, running around trying to please people, but disheartened on the inside because we do have values, but we don't subscribe to them, we don't value them, and therefore our self-worth fluctuates. A clear heart. The only thing that clears a human heart is a view of the future that's positive. It's one area of life that I really do believe positive thinking works, and that is the ability to perceive and imagine and dream about a future better than the present. When an individual decides that the future is not going to be better than the present, they begin to become depressed and in some cases suicidal. We often get situations where people are going through domestic trauma, and in that domestic trauma there's an incredible closed-heartedness, angst and anxiety, a pain that's inside that human being, and the pain is not necessarily as big as they perceive. In other words, the relationship is not as big and as important as they perceive, but the future they were going to build with that individual has now been shattered and broken, and there is no future. So the first step in making sure your heart stays open in health is to know a very positive, very powerful imagination and definition of the future you would love to build, and to hold on to that on a daily basis. Last but not least is self-belief. Of all the things in the world that can change a human being's life, it's self-belief. There's a book, a great book called Placebo Effect. In this book they talk about how mind tricks human beings into believing they're getting better when the pill they took was actually made of sugar. It's an astonishing piece of work that shows that we go in the direction of our dominant thought. It shows that if we say that we're stupid long enough, if we hear that long enough, we will become as we're treated. Our motto at Innerwealth is treat people as you wish them to become. But the most important person in the world to start treating as you wish them to become is you. And in this final step, call it affirmation, call it statements of intent, call it planting flowers and pulling out weeds. We must evolve and change our self-talk in order to create a higher state of consciousness and a better way of being in our business and personal life. At the end of the day, the question's going to be, do you live with an open mind or a closed mind? And it's a very, very interesting question, because most people gravitate to the idea that we must live with an open mind, but it isn't so. The true story of life, the true way life will go, it will go up and there will be order, and it will go down and there will be chaos. At times, it's important, especially in times of chaos, to close our mind, to lock down, to seek order in that closed mind. However, if that closed mind stays closed, when there is order and when things are ready for change, and if that closed mind stays closed, this individual will become ill. So the answer to the question is, open mind or closed mind? The answer is both, because life is like a pendulum. There's going to be ups and downs. The more we swing to one side, the more we swing to the other. What we're trying to do with peace of mind and give you back the power to run your business and your personal life at a great state of joy is to dampen the oscillation of these massive swings that can come around and give us pain. Inspiration is not a static thing. It is a vacillation between order and chaos, between support and challenge, between success and failure. And we must learn to be flexible in amongst that. Within the boundaries of acceptable limits, we must learn to be flexible and adaptive, closing our mind when we need to, opening our mind when we need to. But the heart stays open. And if the heart starts to open and close, we are swinging and the pendulum is standing still. In the development of all this work, we say live, love, life. This is a great outcome for any coaching process because any leader of anything, of any art, sport, business, or family lives, loves life. We don't want sad faces. We want to replace sad faces and the pain and the suffering of life with wisdom. This is Chris Walker. Have a beautiful day. Bye for now.